payroll number XYZ. Hello, Tim.
Hi, how you going?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm glad it's coming to the end of a pretty busy week.
Indeed, indeed. I hear you've been very busy getting ready with... How many studios has it been for you? What studio number is this going to be?
How many studios have I been in? I have no idea, to be honest.
But you've got a bit of a history in Braidwood, is that right?
I do, yeah, I do. I lived in Braidwood a few years ago for a few years, and I set up a studio there, and yeah, and then there's been a few studios since then as well. So
yeah, you are on 2XXFM. We're having a yarn with Tim from the Social Norm, and listening to one of those tracks right now. There's a gig coming up, so Mac 81's going to be there, and the Dirty Sunflowers, is that right?
That's right, yep.
Tomorrow night at Transit Bar?
Yeah, Transit Bar. I believe doors 8-ish or 8:30, and first up's the Dirty Sunflowers, so yeah, it should be a good night.
So tell us a bit, I'd love to hear a bit more about the concept behind the Social Norm, and you formed early last year, and what was the idea behind it?
Yeah, look, it's funny, I get asked this question quite a bit in interviews, and the concept behind the Social Norm's actually been around a lot longer than when the band formed. And look, it's like a lot of grunge, I suppose, is that it's kind of ironic social commentary is kind of the essence of what I believe grunge to be, and it's, we're a punk grungy band that's calls himself the Social Norm. So I suppose at the time I was a bit younger when I came up with the concept, and it just didn't make sense to me, the whole setting your life out on a timeline of you finish school, you get a trade, or you go to university, you get a qualification, you get married, you buy the house, you have a kid, and everything kind of happens in an order. And I was really challenged by that at the time, and I suppose
Mate, I'm still challenged by it.
Well, I think a lot of us are too, and like being around Sydney, it's like the concept of going down that timeline is becoming more and more difficult to achieve for a lot of people. So in essence, it's kind of it's a bit of throwing a bit of irony in your face.
So were you a grunge kid in the 90s?
Yeah.
So what were your favourite bands?
Yeah, I was. I suppose my heyday, I'm not quite that old, but my heyday was probably early noughties.
Hey, what are you trying to say? I am.
Look, I loved Nirvana, but then I was kind of like nu metal as well. Nu metal was really mainstream when I was at school, so it was like Korn and Limp Bizkit was actually on commercial radio, believe it or not, and even Slipknot. It was back in that era where there was a lot of hard rock and angry music was kind of mainstream. So it drew from a lot of influences like that, and then I probably matured a bit, and then when I started playing in cover bands and stuff, I kind of opened my palette to other genres, and in essence found what I really enjoy about music, and it's actually the story. So I like music that's kind of got substance, but in essence it's all about telling a good story.
Yeah, well, brings me to my next question, really. Like the lyric of the song Prisoner of Society came to mind when you were describing the timeline, the linear progression points that we're given by the system around us. And I really, really love putting punk rockers on the spot and asking them this question, so bear with me.
Okay.
But does the song have that power to break it?
The Prisoner of Society, or just a song in general?
Well, does music, does punk or grunge have the power to, I guess, liberate us even just a little bit?
Look, I think if anything, it creates awareness. Yeah, it's up to the individual to live their life the way they want to live it. But I think I'm feeling my age a little bit more recently, but it's like looking back at the kid that I was. I mean, back then you bought a CD and you loved every single song that was on that thing until you had enough money to buy another one. But definitely, when you start hearing music that you relate to, things make more sense and you feel less isolated. You grow up in a house and your parents do the absolute best to raise you with the values that they believe are right. And good on them for all doing it, but at some point you have to become your own person, and I think I think music
And
is a real...
despite your parents' best intentions, one day you're just walking past the record store.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
and for
These
me
days
it was...
you're finding it on your phone, I don't know.
Yeah, for me it was Corn Follow the Leader. I remember buying the cheap version and getting a hard time at school because I got it from FTBs. But anyway, it was, which was feeding them bargains back in the day. But look, I think it's, you know, I think it creates an avenue for people to have an outlet and to feel less weird, because a lot of people have independent thoughts that they can't really make sense of, and I think when, you know, music is definitely a very powerful medium that allows people. So I think in short, it creates awareness, and then, you know, if there's enough awareness created and there's enough sort of camaraderie with the message, then sure, I think it does have the power to bring change.
Yes, rage against the machine, my friend. Rage.
Absolutely.
So, no, I agree. I mean, I'm sitting here in the chair doing this, and here at Local and Live, we're very proud of the Canberra music scene as well. So I was excited to hear that you've got a few Canberra bands that you're digging at the moment. I'd love to hear about them.
Yeah, look, obviously I still got a fair few ties to Canberra. Like, I played there quite a bit in the day. I was really stoked when I started seeing Signs and Symbols start releasing all these cool tracks, and I remember playing back with them. I played with them a few times at the Stag in Sydney and at the Basement in Canberra, and so they were really cool. Dirty Sunflowers I haven't seen yet, but I checked out their demo on Spotify. I think it's called Wanted To, and it's like, wow, this is cool. Like, it reminded me of Garbage a lot, and it's one of my favourite bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool, and Mac 81 too. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. And my mate Scott's is also on the bill, who's an MC was from Canberra. He's now in Sydney, and I met him in Canberra, and we did a track together too. And so look, I think there's you know, there's a lot of potential negativity that gets created about Canberra, but when it comes to music, I'm always surprised by the amount of really cool music that comes out of Canberra and is there. Like, it's you know,
correct.
Yeah, it's a bit underrated for their music. Like, it doesn't get the spotlight because it probably doesn't have the same energy that a big metropolitan place has, but there's still the same talent that's in all the other cities.
Oh yeah, it's hard to just get through like a 2-hour show and do it justice, but no, totally agree. Yeah, preach. Now, this MC that you did a collab with, just at the last minute, I've just opened this up on my screen. I admit I haven't had a listen through to it, but is this the one, Munted Wizard?
Yeah.
Who was hearing song?
That's the one.
So what's the yarn behind this song that you were going to tell us?
Well, the Munted Wizard is a person. Okay, so that's the first place to say where the story starts.
Oh, I thought it was a wizard.
No, it's not a lizard. Munted Wizard is actually like an alias of this gender neutral person that was at one of our shows, a Social Norm show in where was it? Newcastle, and that had a bit too much of everything. Tiny little, like, blondie, redheaded, massive cut mullet, piercings, tattoos, and just really out there, like right into Bogan Australiana, and had a bit too much of everything at the end of the show, and ended up having a bit of a party with them. Long or the short, I kind of got back from a leg of shows, and then we played Canberra. I think it was Transpire we played after that as well, and we had a really loose night at Mooseheads, and I was driving back and the trailer fell off, the wheel fell off the trailer, and it was a really crazy chain of events where, like, this dude picked me up on the side of the road in the middle of the highway in the middle of nowhere, and they happened to know my neighbours, and it was just all really crazy. Anyway, I was kind of out of sorts. I just sat down at my studio and laid down.
Lucky they knew your neighbours. It sounds like the angels were looking out for you.
I don't know. But anyway, long or the short, this person has an alias, and they're called Munted Wizard, and I wrote a song about it, and I hit up Scotty to MC on it, and this was the result.
And do we need language/content warning?
There's a very subtle S word in the bridge, but otherwise you're all good.
Okay, bit of a language warning, kids. Anybody driving home? And will they won't be at the gig tonight?
No.
Saturday night, isn't it? Saturday night, the gig. You're on 2XXFM. Tim from the Social Norm going to be playing. Sorry, Saturday night at Transit Bar, isn't it? With the Dirty Sunflowers and Mac 81.
And Scott's as well is doing a set.
And Scott's.
Yep.
Excellent. We're going to hear right now. Thank you so much for having a chat with us, Tim.
No problem, my pleasure.
Have a great gig, and we're going to hear right now from Munted Wizard, and that's it for us. Have a great weekend. Jess will be back on Monday. Local Live.